Today I'm speaking with Thomas Gaddis, fashion designer who created an awesome collection inspired by the late Patrick Kelly. Patrick Kelly is an African-American designer who came to rise in Paris and is known for his fun, whimsical designs. Thomas is going to show us how we can create unique designs infused with our own sense of style and that of other designers or mentors.
So the whole premise of the look was to do something that was in a way a nod to his work that captured his aesthetic and his design eye, but in our own interpretation. And so I really wanted to take something that was extremely personal. I know he took a lot of buttons, and so buttons were his thing because his grandmother would sew just these random buttons on to repair their clothes. You know, we're used to today just being able to toss things out, but that was not always the case. You know, if you needed a button, you just put on a button. It was, it needed to function.
Thomas talks about his own line, and we get some key takeaways. Number one, how important it is for designers to understand fabrics and how they drape on the body and how they react to patterns. Also, we learn the challenges that Thomas faced when combining the aesthetic of Patrick Kelly with his own designs to create unique Thomas designs.
His grandmother would do this, and so he had this love of buttons, and so he put buttons everywhere. And so that was one of the things I incorporated. So each of the rainbows is held onto the garment with a clear shank button, because I really don't like the aesthetic of old buttons just everywhere. Like non-functional buttons are strange.
Because I can't see them at all. You really...
No, they're super like in the background, up close. They give texture, and when you move, the light just catches them just so. But they're more decorative, and in person, you get more of an idea of the texture. But they really don't take away from the look at all, which is exactly what I wanted. It was perfect. So I decided to go with the rainbow because in looking at Patrick's work, I did not want to go in and I didn't want to repurpose like the gollywog or do anything that was really racially sensitive, especially at a time where I felt like there was so much going on and it just didn't speak to me. It's like, this is not a battle I wanted to fight. Right. But I thought, like, what a way to really refocus the idea around the conversation around queer identity and what it means to be part of the LGBTQ plus community. And so from there, I decided to take the rainbow and like really push it. And it is not the traditional Pride rainbow. I just put my own spin on it. I added the pink back in. Pink used to be a color. In the very original Pride flag, pink and turquoise were removed.
I didn't know that.
I added pink back in. Yeah, so pink and turquoise were a part of the original Pride flag. They later got removed. And so what we know today didn't include them, but now the flag has so many different variations today. I say, well, I'll just add my own.
Savannah College of Art and Design did this in honor of Patrick Kelly and had some designers. Yes. Is that correct?
They asked us to come together and take patterns that he had made that had been licensed through Vogue, I believe, and come up with our own designs. And so after a while, we all went through the process, and this is based off of one of his suits that was done for Vogue. It was double-breasted, very beautiful, had buttons going down the front, lapels. It's a gorgeous suit, but I wanted to take it in a more modern direction because, you still want people to see something and feel like, oh, I can wear that and it works in my life today.
Designers, especially when you work for bigger brands, the brand will say, we need a jacket and skirt. And so was it easy for you to be inspired because it was a person that inspired you? Or like, what was the challenge and what was like the easy part?
The challenge was making sure that I didn't lose myself in what his aesthetic was, that I still brought who I am to the table. Yeah. But also that I did something that was interesting enough. I always feel like you can go one of two ways. You can do not enough or you can do far too much. And so finding that like balance of restraint and also this like really almost like pushing the edge of what's over the top, like getting that balance correct was difficult. Because, I had a lot of conversations about, maybe I should add more. Maybe I should do something different with the stripe placement. Is it too matchy? I'm like, it's a suit. And I'm like, within his aesthetic, things were matchy. And within a lot of what his aesthetic came from was the church, the Black church. And even when I was growing up, you know, my dad is a preacher. I'm a preacher's kid. And so you go to church and you see these women and they're wearing literally everything matches from head to toe. You've got the hat, the shoes, like everything. I think it's a Southern thing.
I wonder if it's a Southern thing because, you know, I am also Southern. You're supposed to dress up for church.
Yes.
Your Sunday
you wear
best.
your best.
Yes, exactly.
There's a conversation around, did I make it too matchy? And could I have done things differently? And I could have, but I wanted to make sure that in some aspects I stayed true, which is why I had to make sure that there was a balance between the play of the scale of the lines from the skirt to the jacket, to the sleeve, to the print that was on the blouse. Like, it all had to come together just so that it would make a look that was reverent, but also modern.
So what would you say, like, the skill that was most needed in this when you were designing this collection?
Oh my God. The skill that was most needed, I would say, would have to have been understanding proportion and scale. Because a lot of these things, you know, the time crunch was so short, I didn't have time to test them out. Like, the coat and the skirt was one and done. The rainbows, like, they just had to be cut. I didn't have time to say, oh, I can tweak it a little bit. Or if I change how deep the laser cutter went through the acrylic, like, oh, well, you know, there was no time to tweak it. And typically in this design process, you know, we go through multiple iterations of one thing. It was literally like, look, you've got, you know, 2 weeks, and I did 6 pieces. So it's like, you don't have time to screw it up. So really understanding that relationship between what you see 2D, because a lot of this work was done on the computer, versus what happens in real life, was extremely helpful.
What's the base fabric? Is it nylon or polyester or cotton?
It's a polyester spacer. So spacer fabrics, you tend to see spacers a lot. Yes,
that's
spacers.
right.
You tend to see them a lot in bras.
Yeah.
But we use them a lot also when I worked in cosplay. They are great for like bodysuits and armor and just depending on the look you want, because they tend to look very modern and very clean, but they're also very plush. Like, they have this kind of marshmallow tactile quality to them.
Yep.
And it was like the perfect textile in order to print on, to hold the weight of the rainbows, to hold the weight of the buttons that are supporting the rainbows. Like, it was just perfect. And you have to, like, understanding textiles, I think, was probably the next best thing, because there's so many ways a textile can take you in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But really understanding how they work well with the design can give you gold.
Are you designing a future collection around this? Or is this something like, if I wanted to buy it, can I do that? Or is it like a piece on display?
Oh, right now I am designing a future collection around it. So I have I think I've designed around 12 looks now. And I have some new sample pieces that I'm working on, introducing some new textiles, sampling things. So yes, I am finally at the point where, like, this suit can be reproduced rather easily now that I've gone through it a couple of times and I've worked out some kinks. And I look forward to adding the new pieces.
Got it. Okay, so because I didn't mention this earlier, Thomas is co-founder and co-owner of Factory 404, which is a design lab and small batch production facility. So you guys are based in Atlanta, and you work with all size brands, entrepreneurs, to help them with their soft goods, all kinds of projects, whether it be, you know, fashion design or wearable tech.
It runs the gamut, and we specialize mostly in high-end apparel, but we also do products and projects that produce an item that will have some type of performance value. So if you have a thing or a garment or an item that actually has to function in some type of way, we can troubleshoot and take you through the process. And that's part that a lot of people don't see, because most of this is, you know, people think of it as, oh, you can just, you know, go and cut and sew that together and it's fine. It's like, this is not the same thing. Although those skills are very necessary, when you're designing something, you really want to understand it from the inside out and know what that end path is. So yes, we provide those services to people all around the country.
Okay, and so where do you get your inspiration? I know with the Patrick Kelly example, you were given very direct, okay, design something inspired by Patrick Kelly. But like on a normal day, where do you get your inspiration?
My inspiration tends to come from stories. And I tell my friends this all the time, like even part of the music that I love, it starts with a story. So and when I connect with a song, like I very much love Stevie Nicks and very much so love Fleetwood Mac, like favorite, but the stories that are told take you on a journey. Like I can visually start to see it. I tell my friends all the time, like, sometimes I'm sitting in a room and my mind is floated out the window because I can start dreaming of all of these other things. And so when I start with that story, then I start to look for images that I can build upon. I tell, like when I'm teaching design, I tell students all the time, it's like Alice falling down the rabbit hole. Like you just let yourself kind of go and you let one thing build and it just grows into this thing that you don't expect. So I don't put limits on myself. And like in a design process, I tend to just take things in as they come. It could be a TV show, songs, books. I've been doing a lot of reading lately. So those things have been interesting. And just playing with color. Color is so important to the things that I do. Like, and that's whether it's gray or it's black, like the lack of color or the presence of color is extremely important in how you use it. And so I just tend to go with the flow.
Is there anything else that you would want to share about the design or about what you do, or like you want people to know?
Design is such an involved process. It is not only an art, it is a science. And that the best designers understand where their marriage comes from. People always think about Chanel or Schiaparelli or Dior, and all of these designers knew how to marry the textile with the body, with creativity in order to make things that were new and exciting. And I feel that today we tend to lose focus of that because clothing has become so easily accessible.
Yeah, ubiquitous.
Yes, it's ubiquitous. And we treat it as if this dispensable commodity, like, it's like a paper towel. Like, I can just go get another one. You don't think about it. You don't process it at all. And so I would like for people to, really think about the things you're purchasing. Like a person who would purchase this outfit, this would not be something that you're like, oh, I'm just going to go and I'll just pick that up. No, you buy it because you can appreciate the story. It speaks to you. It resonates with something within you. And that's the kind of collection that I want to design. Small batch pieces that really speak to people, but that that there's a story and you connect with it and you want to have it forever. You're going to take care of it. You're not going to toss it in the bottom of your laundry bin.
Right. I was thinking about that recently because I get really tired of how all the mass products look the same, and so I'm thinking, where's a resource where I could go and find these small designers?
That would be really interesting. I do not know of one in that way. And I feel like part of it is that it's very difficult for small designers to have access to develop the collection and then also do the marketing.
Yeah.
There's some great designers out there. I mean, even within the brands that we've worked with here in Atlanta, there are some creative people out here doing some beautiful things. But what you run up against is that people, as much as they will appreciate the Instagram quality of a garment, they're like, oh, but I really want it for like $40. It's like, and so there's this disconnect. And so then when you start to pare things down, just trying to connect with your audience, I think that is the most difficult part. Yeah. And I don't know that there's any place where there is this collection of like small designers where you can go and be like, hey, like there's a collective that you can go and visit and see what they have to offer and have these conversations, and they too can build a clientele. I think that might be really neat. I think everything is so disjointed. I will also say that in fashion, is as large as the industry is, it's really small. And so you'll run into where people they may not want to share their sources, or they may not want to tell you who's up and coming out of fear that you're going to, steal their designs. Like craziness. Like people have these ideas when at the end of the day, the industry is not high. There's literally enough people and there's enough space for everyone. And I feel that if we would allow ourselves to be more authentically who we are, then there would be a lot more creative and interesting pieces out here. Like throw the idea of trends out of the window. Like, I think that's the other thing that really leads to this just being, there's so much garbage just being produced and too many apparel items just out there in general. So if you take that out, if we can kind of release that idea that I've got to look like everybody else, I've got to wear what everyone else is wearing, and you can just be yourself, you find those pieces that resonate with you, then we'd just be better as a whole.
I really enjoyed interviewing Thomas and learning about his own line. And also, before my interview with Thomas, I knew very little about Patrick Kelly, and this is one of the reasons I started creating fashion. I love learning about creatives, designers in the fashion industry and also outside the fashion industry. So if you really enjoy learning and meeting new people, particularly in this industry, the industry of fashion and design, then please subscribe to the channel. That's one of my missions. Bring a community of designers of all types together to learn about processes, to learn about each other, to learn about lines. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you watching, and please subscribe.